Welcome to my basic red hammock tutorial. Today I will be showing you how I make a square hammock and a triangular hammock. When I started to make hammocks, I noticed that a lot of shapes and sizes reoccur in different designs, so you could use these hammocks as they are or use them as a base for other designs such as multiple level hammocks or corner huts. These hammocks can also be used by other pets such as ferrets, hamsters, chinchillas, even cats. You could just alter the measurements to their needs. For this tutorial you will need fabric of your choice, some heavy duty or fabric scissors, sewing pins, some sewing chalk or anything else to mark up the fabric, and some kind of measuring tape. You don't have to use a sewing machine to make these hammocks, though I really recommend it since sewing these by hand will take up a lot of your time. I start off with placing the fabric onto a table and grabbing anything nearby to try and stop it from slipping all the time. I am placing both fabrics on top of each other, right sides facing each other, so this means that the nicest side of your fabric is facing to the nicest side of the other fabric. I prefer to cut my hammocks with both fabrics already sitting on top of each other, as I find it easier to sew them afterwards. The next step is to measure and map out the design of your hammock. I found myself just taking the same measurements and drawing the same shapes time after time, so I decided to make a cardboard stencil, which is what you see me using here right now. For the square hammock, I used the measurements 37 cm by 37 cm, which would be about 14.5 inches. Then after sewing, this will turn into about 35 by 35 cm, which would be about 13.5 inches. Here you can see me using my rotary cutter. I just do this to cut through the edges so I can slip my scissors under there more easily, but this is not necessary at all. Here you can see me using the fabric chalk just to trace the shape onto the fabric so I can easily cut it afterwards. For some reason I didn't remove the stencil immediately, but here I'm just cutting out the square shape of the hammock. So this is what you end up with after cutting it. Then the next step is to add sewing pins so the fabric doesn't move while you sew it. If you want to add loops to your hammock, this is the moment to add them. I will show you how to do that with a triangular hammock. Once everything is pinned down, this is what it will look like, and now you're ready to sew your hammock. I continued with mapping out the triangular hammock first, then cutting the corners with the rotary cutter again. This is a right angle triangle and the measurements are the same as the square 37 by 37 centimeters for the straight sides. So then I just cut out the triangle from the fabric. If you want a hammock with loops, this is the moment where you should add them to the fabric. I use strips of fabric which are about 10 centimeters long, which is about 4 inches. I fold the strips in half and then place them in between the two layers of fabric. So folding the strip in half, then opening up the two layers of fabric, place the strip in between them with the open side facing outwards. Then I close up the fabric again and secure the strip or the loop with a sewing pin. I then add sewing pins all around the hammock again, so it doesn't slip while we're sewing it. Here you can see me sewing the hammocks. I'm just going all the way around with a straight stitch, leaving a small space open to turn the hammocks inside out. When a loop is placed in a corner, like with this triangular hammock, I try to sew straight across the loop as to secure it even better in between the fabric. As you can see, I stitch straight across the edges, just leaving an opening to turn the hammock inside out after. Same for the triangle, just stitch straight across, then going straight over the loops and leaving a little opening to turn the hammock inside out. Here you can see me cutting the excess fabric on the edges and the corners of the hammock. This is not necessary, but I find that it helps to stop bulging once you turn the hammock inside out. Try not to cut too close to the seam, as this could make it rip open. And also don't cut the part where you didn't sew, so you can easily close it up afterwards. Here you can see me turning the hammock inside out, so I'm just flipping it and then pushing out the corners and make it nice and flat. Same thing here, just flipping the hammock inside out and then pushing out the corners. Here I am using the loops to pull them out. Then I'm flattening out the hammock and folding in the extra fabric. So now you'll want to sew across the top to close it off. So here you see me top stitching the hammocks. So I'm just going all the way around with a straight stitch. This will close up the hammocks, make them nice and flat, and make sure they don't shift around when you try to wash them. Once you have completed this step, your hammock is ready, and all that is left is to add some rats to it. Thank you so much for watching my very first tutorial on here. Let me know what you think of it. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like. I would really appreciate it. And you can follow me around on Instagram at DIY Pets Life. If you make this hammock, please tag me and show me how it turned out. I'm very curious to see. Enjoy some clips of my rats discovering their new hammocks, and hopefully I'll see you next video. Bye!